Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Let me thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unlocking Your Legacy with Talking PHAT. Uh-oh. And we are live. Keith Robertson, the Fin Coach. I am your host. As always, first, before we begin, we want to give praises to the Most High. We want to thank God for allowing us to rise another day. For there are many that did not rise this morning that were here yesterday. And we pay homage to those individuals now. Earlier in the week, you know, Theo Huxtable passed, Malcolm Jamal Warner from a tragic swimming accident. It. Who knows when that day or hour comes, but we want to give praises to the Most High for we are here today. And I want to welcome you again to Talking PHAT. And PHAT is an acronym for Purpose, Hope, and Truth. And purpose, as we look at that word, power, unity, remembering, planning, overcoming, seeing, executing, hope, H, helping, O, other, P, people, E, evolve, and then truth, true righteousness unveiled through hearing. And we believe that we are operating in our purpose and what the Most High would have us to do, bringing you public information that a lot of times may not be public knowledge, or providing something of value for you in your life, and hoping that you would get something out of what's said today. As we look at our society and what's going on around the world right now, everything is in a position where any moment the turmoil could ignite another world war. When we look at the different conflicts that are happening around the globe, that power, we have to have something to hold on to that's greater than ourselves, because we need help, guys. We need help. And this show is mainly, I talk about the black and the brown, because we are the ones that's being downtrodden around this globe. Wherever you look, you see brothers and sisters that look like me, that are viewed upon as being the lowest person in the community or the lowest person in that society. People have been trained to just look at us as being less than. And then the sad part about it, we've been programmed to believe it. At one point in time, we were the benchmark, okay? As well as even when we were released from our POW status, you may call it slavery, but I call it POW status, because I truly believe that we were indigenous to this land. Most of us were indigenous to this land. Our ancestors were indigenous to this land and didn't actually come from Africa. I mean, originated from Africa. Okay, we get that. The original man, the Asiatic black man, we originated from Africa. But when we're talking about Columbus discovering America and what went on from that point on, we were here. A lot of us were already here. A lot of these Indian tribes, they look like us. A lot of the history has been removed, eliminated. So you don't know who you are. But in this day and time, we have to embrace our history. We have to embrace where we are right now. I've taken a few notes, and I'm going to hit you with some economical news real quick, and I'll fall back into this conversation, but the tariffs, the tax cuts, the depreciation, the massive deregulations, all that's going on, it signals growth, right? It signals growth. But we see our stock market is at an all-time high. I mean, everything, it seems like it's getting a second wind. But guys, there are some underlying things when it comes to that economy. The housing bubble, the credit bubble. It has to come to the point where it blows sooner or later. The market, what goes up must come down. There's ebb and flow in everything. And we're at this point right now where we have to open our eyes. As you look at the dollar is down 10%. Gold is up though. Gold is up. Gold is up like 60% higher than Nvidia. Chat GPT and all of that. Gold is up. People are beginning to buy gold again, or the gold miners, I should say. Their stock is up. But when we look at what's really going on, that what affects us, everyday people, Google had their earnings reports, and that was great. The stock was up. Tesla, their earnings weren't as high as what they thought, but that didn't affect their stock prices. When you look at your 401, and where your money is, or your retirement and where your money is, are you in a position when a correction happens to go back in the standard market and let your money build back up? Are you in that position? If you're a baby boomer, you're definitely not. Because I've explained to you before, if the market drops down 50%, then it goes back up 50%. You're still down 25% from where you were before. Okay, as an example, let's do this. Piece of paper, I'm going to fold it in half. It's at 50%. This paper was 50% of where it was before. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to increase this by 50%. And as we see, it's only 75% of what it was. Are you able to withstand a drawback in the market? We have to talk about these things, because they people in they talk about compounding interest in the market. Everything compounds, yes, but when you lose, you still down 25% when you realize another 50% gain. You lose all your compounding interest, or a great portion thereof, that you won't have that time to regain again if you're of a certain age. And these are the things we have to look at. We look at the housing rate now. The median price of a house in this country was $435,300, but in June, those prices went up a bit, went up to $475,000. Now we're looking at new homes, though. The new homes costing right around about $401,000. So what does that tell you? So these builders are able to put a lower, or I should say a less valuable, not less valuable, less costly product on the market. So it's cheaper to buy a new house than it is to buy an existing house. Listings are up 28%. When we look at the unsold houses in the market, we're looking at 511 of them, which is the highest price, or the highest amount, since October 2007, with a 9.8 month supply in housing. So that means if no more houses went on the market, it's enough houses to last 9.8 months. When we look at time in the market right now, nationwide, you're looking at 58 days. But certain segments in this country, like certain parts of Texas, certain parts of Florida in general, you're seeing the houses prices come down, right? You're seeing houses that stand on the market much longer. You're seeing these prices dropping down 20, 50,000, some cases even higher in value, or sales price, I should say. Now, in Hampton Roads, here where I am, the median sales price was 345,000, but in June it rose up to 375,000. So a 4% increase in the median sales price of a house in Hampton Roads. There were over 2,343 units sold in June, which was down by 1% compared to May. There are over 4,000 active listings, which is also down. New listings, 3,013, which is up 10%. You had over 2,800 pending contracts. So what does all that mean when you talk about all that? We're still in this. We're here in Hampton Roads. We're still in the seller's market. So the housing market is still robust here in Hampton Roads, is what I'm saying. Houses are still being sold here in Hampton Roads. The average time houses stay on the market in Hampton Roads, I believe, what do I have here? 28 days. 28 days. That's right. But listen, at the $375,000 mark, we got to look at where the interest rates. Between 6 and 7% for these houses. Are we able to afford those houses? That's a question now. Are we able to afford those houses? When we look at food, food is up 2.9%. As I went to the grocery store today and I saw the increase in price. I know I used to get Folgers coffee in the size that I was getting. I believe it was a little more than a pound. Not too long ago, it was $9.99. Then it went up to $11.99. Then I saw it go up to $13.99. And now it's $15 in a short period of time. These are the things that affect us every day. Dining out is up 3.9%. Beef now is at $6.12 a pound. That's just ground beef. Steak is between $11 and $12 a pound. That has to do with the decrease in the cattle in the U.S. And a lot of that has to do with drought, and then also just the workforce to farm those cattle. That is down as well. And then we look at the beef, the import cost, to get beef into the United States, and then a screwworm epidemic that they have an outbreak in Mexico. So no beef is coming in from Mexico. Labor is at 4.1% right now. The unemployment rate, 4.1%. They're saying it's going to go up to 4.3. All this signals, right, a reduced and weakening economy. But all the other economical news that we see, it looks like it's up. But this is what we're faced with in our homes. It takes 2.5 incomes to run a household today. So what do? Do we sit back and wait for unemployment to go up to 4.35%? We see the price of food going up. We see the price of cars going up. Right now, the average new car, even for the B class, is about 43,000. Now, come on. We see it all around us. We see the telltale signs of a declining economy. So we have to get in position for our families. For tomorrow is not promised to us. Tomorrow is not promised. One of these wars could break out. And so what we need to do, we have to watch the higher ups, right? We have to watch and see how they're moving. the wealthy. We have to watch and see how the wealthy are moving. We have to watch and see how these congressmen and senators, men and women, how they're moving. You know, we have to watch that. We have to watch and see what Putin is doing and his generals. How are they moving? Are they pulling their money out of the market? And you see them begin to buy various gold and silver and copper and things of that nature. That the wealthy around the world, how are they moving? These are the things that we have to watch, because when they begin to pull their money out of the market, we have to see where it's going. Because I guarantee you this: if there is a war, there are going to be people that become richer because of the investments that they make. So we have to be aware of what's going on. We have to begin to tap in to that financial news. We have to begin to understand how money works. We have to begin to learn financial literacy in our community. Financial literacy is the key. Financial literacy can be a superpower versus kryptonite, as it is in many cases now today. Understanding that you have to have your credit in order to be able to take advantage of certain things, but some things you don't need credit for. Asset-based lending is something you don't need credit for. Can you, if you can find the right deal? You know, you have people riding around the country telling you to come on, let's do a deal with me. You know, you find the property and I'll bring the money. Listen, guys, even for first-time investors, there are opportunities to get funding out there. But when you take a deal with someone else, you may get paid, you may not get paid, but I guarantee you wouldn't get paid as much if you would strategize with others around you to put this together, to put a house together, to build a house, to build a home, and to put it on the market and sell it. I guarantee you that. See, it takes unity. It's going to take families coming together as a cohesive unit. Now, of course, okay, you got family members that don't want to ride. I understand. You have friends that don't want to ride. You got people that don't want to come together. I understand that. Okay? That's part of the brainwashing in our community. Part of the misprogramming in our community. Where death is looked upon as being something that is normal. It's not normal when the children die. It's not normal when parents bury their children. But if we begin to understand how to use various financial tools and coming together collectively and putting together these financial markets for ourselves, then we're able to hold these politicians accountable for the decisions that they make for us. When we go individually to voice our opinion, it has no power. One voice has no power in a stadium full of people. It's going to take unity. We're one Zoom call away from anybody in the United States, or better yet, the world. We're one Zoom call away. But it takes a collective. The mindset that I got mine, you get yours later, don't work anymore. Because what happens when the people get desperate? And there's some desperate people out there. But it's time to put some things in place now so that we can rebuild our communities. And when I say our communities, I'm talking about ourselves as a people, to rebuild ourselves. Go to your pastors, go to your imams and say, we need to put a financial literacy team together to teach this to the people. Because in a community, when I see people that are hurting, they're usually hurting for one or two things. One is a health condition. The other is an economical condition. But an economical condition, an improved economical condition can help a health condition be improved. When you're able to get the right herbal medicines that you need, I didn't say medication, the right herbal medicines that you need, because the Most High stated that when you feed the body the right thing, the body will heal itself. Being able to teach your children how to build and teach them about compounding interest, how to put monies together to build versus buying and spending everything. At one point in time, they would say that, hey, we are the number one consumers in the US. And we wore that like a badge of honor. But what do you know that consumes you that does not destroy you? It's nothing that consumes that doesn't destroy. Consumed by love, it can destroy you mentally. Consumed by hate, it can destroy you mentally. Now, please understand, this is a message to people that look like me, because I see you every day. I see you hurting. And it's time that you begin to look at the man in the mirror and see what it is that you can do for yourself. Begin to seek knowledge about finances. Begin to seek knowledge and understand how money is created. Begin to understand how the stock market works. Begin to understand how buying and trading works. Because you got to understand this. Either you're buying something or you're selling something. You're directly or indirectly, you're in the market. You're either buying or selling. Either buying or selling. I'm sorry. I should put my phone on silent. Just, you know how the Mac is when your telephone is connected to your computer, it'll kick you off the screen. But listen, come together with your local groups. Okay? Maybe you don't go to church. Okay? But still, don't you have your relationships that can come together, bring the families together, and begin to learn how money works. There's a game called Rich Dad, Poor Dad that teaches you about the economy. Invest that $89 to buy that game. It's a board game, but it teaches you about the economy. It teaches you about money. It teaches you about real estate. It teaches you about buying and selling. Because other coaches come together collectively to ensure that future generations are taken care of. We have to get that single individual mindset out of our heads and realize that it's going to take a team. You need your own team. Now, what position you play, if you're quarterback, running back, lineman, coach, or whatever the case may be, you need to put your team together and begin to assign various tasks within that team. Possibly some research can be done. Use AI to get an understanding of how money works. You could do that right now. You can go to Chat GPT and ask Chat GPT, act like an expert in economical building blocks creation. Act like a financial expert and explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, how money works. Explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, how banks work. These are things in which you can do, guys, and things that we have to do. We must come together as a people. We must, or we're doomed. Do you understand that? The plane is going down for us as a people. The plane is going down. There's no other group of people around this planet that you see that's being mistreated like we are and have been mistreated for more than 500 years. But yet we rise, and every time we rise, it's like it's something that pulls us down. Now, I'm not saying that it's not due to other groups of people that has a direct um has a direct effect on us. Yes, but those days are over. Don't y'all realize that? Those days are over. It's right here. The battle is in the mind. Once you have your mind under control, you will have your body under control, and you will have your family under control, and you will have your community under control. Think about the last 5 conversations. Look at your phone and look at the last 5 text messages that you had. Were they something that built you, or was it something that tore you down? Look at the group that you're in, your group of people that you're around on a daily basis. Look at the 5 people that you talk to the most. Do you add to each other's life, or are they pulling from you, or are you pulling from them? Learn to bring something together. Learn to bring something together. The first step is to just get your core group of people who looks like you, that you deal with, that want to build something within their lives. Your family, for one. You got to get your family, guys. Because listen, if the plane is going down, so the first thing you have to do is put the oxygen mask on your own face. And it's not about dragging people with you. Those that want to build with you. Those are the people that you want to engage with. But I see it every day, guys. I do. But anyway, I'm back here. I'll be back next Thursday with more topics of discussion. And we will get to the point where we get better discussions. If I can get some feedback from you, for one, about what you would like to talk about. I don't want to just get up here and begin to spout numbers and like I did at one time before. But I go back to this. Go to your pastors, go to your religious leaders, and tell them it's time that the people need to understand how money works. The people need to understand about financial literacy. The people need to understand that there are other places to put the money other than the bank. The people need to understand how to compound those dollars. The people need to understand how to pool funds together to create a personal bank in some cases, or create something where you're able to take those pool funds together, buy an asset and sell that asset and create more assets from that. But you cannot live alone. And know this, it's no fun at the top or bottom by yourself. But anyway, guys, it's been Keith Robertson, the Fin Coach. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unlocking Your Legacy. As always, I say, action of knowledge leads to power. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you next Thursday at 8 o'clock. Peace and blessings.